Good morning, and welcome to the Tri-County Regional Black Chamber of Commerce Let's Talk Business podcast. Hi, today we're here with Kelvin Solco from the Solco Group. Hello, Kelvin.
How you doing?
I'm all right.
Good.
Thank you for joining us.
My pleasure.
So before we get started, we're going to go ahead and thank our sponsors. So Southwest Airlines is a proud air travel sponsor of Tri-County Regional Black Chamber of Commerce, and we'd also like to thank Permacore Business Solutions. All right, so Mr. Kelvin, you get to come and hang out with me for an hour.
Absolutely. Enjoyed it.
How cool is that?
Yeah.
So before we get started, go ahead and explain, tell our listeners all about you and your business.
Absolutely. Well, thanks, Paul, for having me, Tabitha. I really appreciate the opportunity. First of all, my name is Kelvin Solco, and by trade, I'm a civil engineer. I'm a professionally registered engineer in the state of Texas, and as far as education goes, I have a master's, also MBA. So I own a firm. It's called the Solco Group, and we are airport planners, airport engineers.
Nice.
We build and develop or improve airfields, not only in the state of Texas, but pretty much anywhere. And we're even looking internationally, possibly at Belize, but you know a little bit about that, I'm sure. So, but primarily, what I do is I have an opportunity to use the gifts that God has given me to help the transportation aviation industry. I got here because primarily I was born in Southeast Texas. You know, I was born in Orange, raised in Port Arthur, and of course now I live in Beaumont. But after high school, I went to Prairie View, A&M University, where we produce productive people. And so,
nice. I've never heard that said before, so that's great.
Yeah. And you know, I'm fortunate because I got into the engineering program at Prairie View. But as a sophomore at age 19, my company actually hired me before I even graduated from school.
Wow.
And so I actually got into the aviation industry at age 19 as an intern or a co-op student. And what I would do is work a semester, go to school a semester, work a semester, and I worked my way through Prairie View. It took me about 5 years to do that. The advantage of doing that is, of course, once I graduated, I already had a job. Unlike some students that when they graduate, they have to look for a job. I graduated with 3 years of experience, a job in hand, and 2 other job offers. Nice. So I got into the aviation business, started out as a construction inspector on airfields and worked my way up to a design office. Then became airport engineer, airport planner, and worked my way from the bottom to the top in the aviation industry. And then when I stepped away from that, I left the Dallas-Fort Worth area and moved back home and formed my own firm, the Solco Group. So
that is impressive. Okay, so there's a few things. That's what I wanted to do in my career. I wanted to work from the bottom and go up, but I guess the difference is that male to female, they were like, no, we're not letting the females do this. So it became the males are like, okay, we can do this and it's going to be okay. But that's really cool. I like the way that worked out. So that means, are you possibly working on the project over there for hobby?
Not yet. I would love to get into the hobby. Actually, just for the Houston airport system, there are 3 airports. I'm actually trying to break into Ellington Field first. If I can get a foot in the door at Ellington, I think I can work my way up through the other airports. But I've done work there with my former employer. Lots of work, lots of development. I've done a lot of facilities, what I call inside the fence. When you go to an airport, everything inside the fence, I probably know how to do it, or what goes on, or what it needs. You know, how long runways should be, where should taxiways be, what about terminal buildings, everything. So
that's pretty cool. I never thought about that. First of all, civil engineer, I'm like, whoa, okay, so that's big. For me, I'm like, okay, I'm good. I'll stay in my lane. It's that easy. Okay, so you created this great company, you made it, it was just because you were moving back into the area. You were leaving one position and moving back into the area, and that's why you created the company?
Well, actually, there's a little bit more to the story, but while I was working for my other employer in the aviation industry, on the side, I actually stepped away and I formed a small engineering firm on the side. Now, that business, what I did, I was doing foundation inspections for real estate agents, for bankers, for mortgage companies, or whatever. So I was actually going in and doing foundations. You know how the house foundation could fail and you could have problems, so they would bring me in as a subject matter expert.
Okay.
And then they paid me to go ahead and do that work, do that inspection, give them reports. So I ran that little side business for about 3 years, a little over 3 years, and that was my first entrepreneurial experience. But I made a lot of mistakes in that business.
Okay.
I didn't get certified. DPE or Hub. We'll talk about that later, I'm
sure. Oh, I'm so glad. Okay. All right now.
So after I actually closed that business and then just kind of finished my career out, and then once I finished the career, and then of course I had several things happen. I have my father is having some medical challenges back here in Southeast Texas. So after a number of changes in our lives, we decided to kind of pull up stakes in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We moved back to Southeast Texas, and a funny thing happened. Another thing that I'll touch on is branding, name branding. Without knowing it, I built a name, the name Solco, in the aviation industry in this part of the country. So after leaving and coming back home, the phone started ringing, and and I just kind of picked up clients naturally, organically. So that's kind of how we built the firm.
Oh, wow. Okay, so that's so cool. Okay, so I have a couple of questions. So just a couple, right? Because this is interesting. Because what you're saying is that while you were working with someone else, although you may have been doing something on the side and learning how to go into business for yourself,
Yes, yes,
you were actually building a name for yourself inside the company that you were working with.
yes.
And because your name became infamous, no, it became like highly recognized and respected.
Yes.
You were able to turn that into a business, a successful business, you know, organically in a way where people were seeking you out because they have already had an experience with you.
Exactly. That's perfect. How do you know my life? What do you? I haven't written a book yet. How do you know
How
that?
powerful is that? No, that is so cool because you know a lot of people don't understand that I think that we take for granted sometimes that when we're working for other people that we are building our name because our name is our brand. That's what we have,
Yeah.
you know, for since the day we were born.
Mhm.
But if we soil our name in a negative way, sometimes it's very hard to come back from that. But you're actually a very good example of being able to do that successfully and then walk into a successful business where you're like, I made a bunch of mistakes on my side hustle, but in the new business, I'm able to apply those lessons into something to make sure I don't repeat those same mistakes.
Correct, correct.
Mhm.
Exactly. Let me say a
I
little bit
love
more.
it.
I mean, there's tons of stories I could tell, but it's what I call keep your day job. And
Okay.
so when I advise entrepreneurs that are working full or part time, I tell them keep your day job, learn all you can from your day job, build a reputation. Now, what I did, I went after the work that no one else wanted.
Okay.
So I wanted the projects that everybody thought was routine, mundane, or they thought they were small or trivial. But I got good at it and I developed a niche. And
Hmm.
once I became good at it, whenever they had a problem in that area, they had to seek me out.
Right.
And so then I would go in, and I'm very strong in this one area because nobody else wanted to do it. The bosses were happy with me because no one wanted to take the assignment. So when I volunteered for it, they were like, we got that off our plate. Somebody's going to do the work.
Right.
And so with that, my name got out there. And I started traveling, visiting a lot of the airports in the southwestern part of the state, but also in different parts of the country. So I've been to the DFWs, the San Antonios, the Albuquerques, the New Orleans, all those airports. I'd already had a presence there. And the list goes on, Little Rock, Arkansas, you name it. So finally, years later, fast forward, when I step out and start my own business, when I call and say, hey, this is Kelvin Solco, there's like, Kelvin, where were you? How you doing? Haven't heard from you in a while. And that leads to business opportunities.
How cool is that? That is awesome. And that is a very good testament to building your brand before you even know that the brand exists, right?
Correct.
So just making sure your name is reputable, I think is really powerful.
Yeah. See, a good name is far more valuable than rubies. That's something in the
That's
Bible.
that is true. That is
Yes.
very much true
Yeah.
because you can stand on that. If you can stand on nothing else, you can stand
Absolutely.
on that.
Absolutely.
So with all of your success and everything, so why did you choose to join the Tri-County Regional Black Chamber of Commerce?
Well, actually, to get right to the point, I joined because of two words, Helen Collier. So,
Oh my gosh, are you friends or family?
how about classmates at Prairie View A&M University? So
Really?
that's where Helen and I met. We were actually in the same university. We got there about the same time. So I won't say more because she'll be mad if I talk about time frames and dates. But the point is, again, when I stepped away and started my own firm, one of the things that I've always done as a practice is I'll seek mentors.
Okay.
Find somebody who's already doing what you want to do, and don't reinvent the wheel. One of the first phone calls I made was to Helen Company. So I said, Helen, I'm starting a business. Here's what's going on. Here's what I plan to do. What you recommend? And she said, first thing you need to do is go to the Tri-County Black Chamber of Commerce. And she mentioned Leandria Thompson, Matilda Jack. She threw out names, people, go talk to this person, talk to that, call Leandria. And I did exactly what Helen said. And once I got to the chamber, I'll be honest, I've never seen anything like it.
Right?
I've dealt with a lot of organizations that do so-called business development. No organization has the commitment to training,
Yeah.
the dedication to creating, finding, and developing entrepreneurs. Hadn't seen anything like it, and immediately saw the value of the chamber, paid the membership, got involved, and here I am.
How cool is that? So I think that a lot of people, I know everybody's out there looking for a community to belong to. And what they don't recognize is that you don't have to, when you walk in there, when you walk into certain places and you meet certain people, there is an overwhelming feeling of, I need to belong.
Mm-hmm.
It's not, I feel pressure to be here. It's, I need to be here.
Right.
And I think that that is what the chamber offered to me. And it sounds like that's what, somebody encouraged you to seek them out because they knew that if you went the other ways, you weren't going to get the value out of it that you were looking for. So to come here was actually a really good one.
It was God sent because again, we touched on certification earlier. The chamber focuses on getting all of their member businesses certified. Disadvantaged Business Enterprise certification, hub certification, or whatever. I just haven't seen any commitment for businesses or for anyone to do that for businesses. So that alone is worth the membership.
I think that that's really, really important. So we can talk about a little bit about the certifications because there are still people who believe, okay, so my story is very crazy. It's
Mm-hmm.
simple though. One of the things is we were dealing with we get a small businesses, we're just starting up, we start to commune together. And then we had a round table of entrepreneurs, and I was like, they're saying we should get certified
Mm-hmm.
because all of us were minorities. There was
Mm-hmm.
5 of us in a room, all of us are minorities, and we're like, okay. I was like, so we're gonna go to the city, and they said we can get certified, and they're like, okay, we're all gonna do this. 5 of us are in the room,
Mm-hmm.
only 1 of us got certified.
Wow. Wow.
And then so a lot of times, and I was discouraged
Mm-hmm.
from being certified by other people outside of that table, and they were, don't go, don't do it, you're gonna put yourself in a box, things like that. So there's a lot of people out here that don't believe in the certifications.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of the questions I always like to ask is, what certifications did you get, and then why did you choose to become certified?
The first, well, let's start with the first registration that I did was with the government, the SAM system, Systems Acquisition
Yes.
Management. So I first got my SAM's registration because that'll put you in line to pursue federal contracts.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to keep in mind that the federal government contract outlays annually is over $590 billion. So the federal government is looking for contracts to execute at that level annually every year. So the first registration was SAM's.
Mm-hmm.
Then I pursued the DBE, Disadvantaged Business Enterprise.
Okay.
And the DBE contract will actually align you with a lot of the transportation entities and other government entities, but more specifically in the state, TxDOT. TxDOT also has a big cash outlay contract program. Then after DBE, then I got the SBE, Small Business Enterprise, and then finally we finally got our historically underutilized business hub certification. So that's the 4 certifications and registration that I have for the Solco Group.
That's pretty cool. Now, you chose to get them because for a specific reason, or you just wanted to make sure that you had a seat at the table?
Well, no, I specifically wanted to go after contracts at the state, local, and the federal government. So I knew that there were those opportunities, and I know that the certification it's one way to get access into those programs, but it's probably one of the best ways. So
see, there you go.
Yes.
So there's a very good reason why we want to get certified because it actually gets us in at the table. It gets us a seat at the table, or it also sends emails.
Yes, absolutely. I love the emails.
Emails that we would not have originally received had we not been certified.
Yes.
So that's really important.
Yes, absolutely. And not only the emails, but it'll make you aware of events, opportunities, activities, in addition to what we offer at the chamber. But sometimes all those contracting entities will put on open houses or whatever.
So that's good to know. So so what benefits have you had for becoming certified for those 4 certifications?
One of the benefits for me personally is along with the name branding that I talked about earlier, I added another nugget to it, another feather to the cap, if you will. So it makes people want to do business with me even more now that I'm DBE certified. There are some DBE goals out there. There's some hub goals out there. And there's larger prime firms that I've subcontract for, and they actually are able to hire me, not only get my services, but at the same time fulfill their contract commitments and fulfill goal obligations. So it's got double benefits for some of my clients, my employers. Uh,
All right.
but I think the main thing is I just like the idea and the opportunity of taking advantage of the sacrifices of all the people before me. You know, I mean, just all of our ancestors that didn't have these opportunities and had to fight for it and had to march for it. You know, we recently lost John Lewis, you know,
Yes.
things like that. So all those sacrifices, I think we are the fruits of their labor.
Yes.
We're the fulfillment of their dreams, and that's why we need to be certified for all these programs, as many as we can get.
I agree. So I think that's, I'm glad you say that because a lot of times, one of the things I would ask is that, what if? So what if what we're doing today was the beginning of what was going to come behind us? So sometimes we think we have to be the first to get there and plant that flag and be that multimillionaire because then we can claim we made it.
Mhm.
But what if our role in this life is to be the one that breaks down the door for the others to come behind us, and then someone else is going to plant the flag, but it's a communal win. It's a
Mhm.
win for all, not just a win for one.
Right. Someone's got to be a trailblazer. Somebody's got to cut the trail.
Right.
And remember, before the trail starts, you're looking at a wilderness, looking at a forest. It looks impossible. It looks like there's no path through. And I think, again, this chamber we're trailblazers. I think we're opening the path really wide.
Yes, right. 12, 12 counties.
12 counties and counting.
Counting.
12 counties and growing.
That's correct.
And so, but that's a very wide trail for anyone, children or grandchildren, anyone behind us. And I'm really proud to be a part of that.
That is awesome. So, because you're very proud to be a part of that, now we've got to ask the next question. So, what made you become an advisory board member for the chamber?
Well, I'm the type of person that, unfortunately, once I get into something, I'm kind of all in. You know what I mean?
Oh my gosh.
So
deep and 8 feet.
but you know, I'm an advisory board member, and my assignment is going to be Orange County initially.
Oh, okay.
Now, remember, I was born in Orange County, so
Right.
I have passion there.
There you go.
Orange County has a pretty high unemployment rate. There's pretty severe poverty statistics in Orange County. There's other challenges there, so I have a heart for the city. But one of the reasons that I'm an advisory board member, particularly for Orange County, is I really want the challenge and the opportunity to go into that county and to seek or to create entrepreneurs. Go in there and find business owners who are not aware of the opportunities that I've pursued and acquired. And I'll share my experiences with those opportunities, hopefully get people certified, get people involved with the chamber, and then, of course, just build businesses in Orange County. I'll be more specific. I'm not sure if you're aware of this or not, but I also pursue contracts with various counties here in Southeast Texas. So
Okay.
I'm an authorized vendor for Jefferson County, which is the county I live in, and then I'm pursuing my vendor registration in Orange County.
Okay.
Once I acquire that, I'll be happy to teach that to other entrepreneurs. So that's one of the reasons why I'm an advisory board member. In addition to gathering information about Orange County and bringing it back to the chamber so that all the chamber services can be offered there and our presence can be seen. So.
Okay, so this is exciting. So, what other chamber do you know that actually goes out and seeks out people who are in a challenging situation and says, "Hey, if you're willing to listen and if you're willing to follow and you're willing to lead, I'm willing to teach you how to get there, and you can come away from what you're currently dealing with."
Well, let me answer the question
That's
this
funny.
way. Let me answer the question this way. I've now remember I used to live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area for many years, and I talked about my business, you know, my former side hustle there, and I actually saw some of the chambers there, not only minority chambers but other chambers in that area, very large chambers. I looked at what they did, but I never joined them. So that should tell you something.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. I was like, wait, I've never seen a chamber do that, seek out people and say, hey, I know you're having a challenging time, but if you come to this class, we can show you what is possible, and we will hold your hand until we no longer need to do so.
I've never seen a chamber say, come and sit down with us. And let us look at what you have. That's not sufficient. You need to add that. Do this, do that. Come and let us train you. I've never seen anyone provide that kind of service as a chamber.
Well, this makes my heart smile because I now know, And because we had Steve Adams on here, and he talked about, okay, I'm not going to be able to pronounce it the way he does, but we're going to pronounce it the way I know, Jasper. So Jasper County.
Jasper County, very good.
Okay, so he talks about the fact that they're disproportionately uneven when it comes to the businesses in that area.
Mm-hmm.
And so Orange County and Jasper County kind of sound almost similar, right?
Correct.
So the opportunities for you guys to be able to go in there and educate and uplift a group of people who can't see the forest for the trees.
Right, exactly. And I think it's just knowledge and information. Most people, when they start a business, they usually have a skill or a niche or something they're good at, and they normally start very small scale, and they're not aware of the world around them. For example, you could be working in a city like Orange and not be aware that, hey, you're mowing the grass for two of your neighbors.
Right.
But the county is putting out a grass contract, for all of their county offices. I mean, and you're right there, and you never even knew that opportunity's in your backyard. So
yeah.
So that's what's exciting about the chamber, and what we're doing is not only members but advisory board members.
That is awesome. So you guys are supposed to be the ears to the community.
We're ear to the ground. Also, there may be some door knocking. I may have to try to invite people out for coffee, or actually there'll be visits to the county offices, the county judge's office, procurement offices. So there's a number of things that I plan to do to just kind of get the ball rolling, hopefully, for Orange County.
I'm excited about this. This is interesting, and actually, you give me another great idea about how to pull some people in, because we can do like a virtual happy hour type of a thing for potential people in the area, and then you can kind of pull them in and start having that dialogue and conversation with them. Oh, we're going to talk offline just a minute. I know exactly how. I was like, wait a second. I'm about to lay the plan out right in front of us.
The wheels are turning.
They started turning. Oh, this is not okay. Okay, so this is good. So I understand that. That's really good. So so we talk about the small businesses and how you're going to grow, how you're going to pull some of those people up and let them know what's going on. So, but what makes a successful business? How do we know what that's going to look like for some of those people in those challenging areas?
The successful business has passion. So the entrepreneur, CEO, president, whatever the structure is, they have to have passion about what they're doing, whatever their service is or their offering. That's the first step. The second is knowledge. So if you don't have the passion and the knowledge, which is what we're offering as a chamber, then there's no way you can be successful. And what I mean by knowledge is not only knowledge of your craft, but knowledge of where to apply it, where to put it, where to sell it, where to offer it, where to market it, that kind of thing. That's the thing that kind of, I think, hurts small businesses. So, I think, and just think about going to a restaurant. There are some restaurants you go, you experience it the first time, you tell yourself, I'm never going to go back there again for whatever reason, poor service, poor quality, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
The same goes for a small business. Someone hires a small business, and that experience, that first service that's offered, or the goods that are offered, that first experience determines whether or not you're going to maintain that customer, that client. And so when they see your passion, and then they see your knowledge, and also your ability to listen, then that's going to be a successful business, in my opinion.
I love that, though. And you're right about a lot of. I believe the same thing. I think that there's some other pieces to it for sure, but I think that ultimately the passion. So let me phrase it for my terminology. The passion is your gas, because it's part of your why. So so everybody always talks about, you have to have your why. You remember your why.
Yes.
But your why has to be tied to your passion, because when the stuff hits the fan, it is horrible. And if your passion and your why are not tied together, that is when we're able to lay down our swords and say we're done and walk away. Right. And those are not successful business. They're successful businesses for as long as they may have been in place, but they weren't success in a way where it can help other people to continue to build, right? And it's because we're just I've seen people where they're like, oh, I'm good at that, I'm gonna go and do that, but that's not their heart. So then when it gets really hard, they're like, oh, no, I don't want to do it, so they just walk away from it.
Well, you know, after that type of thing, you know, this, now I may get a little philosophical
Go
on you
ahead.
or whatever.
I'm here for it.
But, you know, passion also has to do with what we were created to do. Why are we here? Okay, we're sucking in all this good air and good water. Well, the air's not that great, the water's not that great, but we're sucking in all this air and all this water. What are we putting out? What are we putting back into the earth, into our community? What were we created to do? Okay,
Right.
what's going to make mama proud? What's going to make grandpa just pat you on the back? That kind of thing. So the point is, I think we were all sent here and created for something, and it's to solve a problem.
Right.
And once we figure out what that is, the most successful people, the most successful businesses are the people who grab that, get behind it, and they just drive it. You know, they play it like Michael Jordan played basketball, like Tiger plays golf or whatever. They just drive like Serena with the tennis, you know, and they just don't stop. That's passion.
Yes, for sure. So at the bottom of my signature for my emails is working to leave the world better than how I found it.
Awesome. That's it. That's exactly what that's passion.
Yeah, because I'm like, oh my gosh, I just need to. Can I write that? I just need to get there. So that's all. That's really good. So being a small business owner, and being successful is always going to be tied to the why, and that why is also tied to your passion. So
Absolutely.
so was that Oprah to say, find out what you're passionate about, and then that's what you can do for your business.
Absolutely.
Because it no longer becomes a job. It becomes that I have to get out here and do this, because if I don't, then what I I can't participate in the good in the world, right? So you gotta get behind that. I talked to somebody about that yesterday too.
Yeah. Well, you know, you take me, I'm just passionate about the business of aviation. Now, it's probably rare to see someone that looks like me that'll stand outside of the fence of the airport and go, wow. You know, I mean,
No, I have another friend that does that.
Okay, good, good.
I'm like, oh, you're just weird.
I need to talk to that friend actually. But but the point is, once I got into it and realized, hey, this is what I was created for. This is where I have strengths, I have interests, I have knowledge, and then I just appreciate the opportunity. Well, when a client hires me and they sees that, it just kind of solidifies the business arrangement, in my opinion.
I do. Yes, I do have a friend. When I first moved to Texas, and he was like, he builds planes, model planes, and then he goes over to hobby.
Yeah.
And they go to parks and stuff like that, and they'll watch the planes go up and down. And he used to work for one of the small airports over there.
Okay, awesome.
So I was like,
awesome.
oh, you're just a crazy one. Alrighty. But now I have two. Now I know two people that are like, okay, aviation is cool. I prefer to be on the ground most of the time, but I don't see it. But then my lane is something different.
Yeah.
Well, funny.
You know, I think it's amazing. You know, just my opinion, a little bit more about aviation, but it's the safest transportation system in the world. Yeah. And I think there's very skilled people, not just me, all over the aviation industry that people just have no knowledge of. So one of the things that I've done in the past, I used to go out and visit high schools and try to get kids involved in aviation. You know, I've taken students down to flight schools to try to, just to see if they have a knack for becoming a pilot or whatever. But again, all that has to do with passion.
Right. So I like our conversation today. A couple of things I've already gotten from it is the fact that how much knowledge is in you. So how much knowledge is in Miss Leandria? How much knowledge is in Helen Collier?
Yes.
So there are so many people that have joined the chamber that I've had the pleasure of meeting that have like so much knowledge of their areas, their expertise, as well as what their experiences have been that could actually lend to me and other people who would be looking for those mentorships that would be able to support them in building their businesses. And I think that when you find communities like Tri-County Regional Black Chamber, that you should jump on it immediately, because you can't go, we are all looking for a tribe to belong to, because the tribe helps us to grow. But until we find a place where all the knowledge is stored, because we can't take it on all on our own, but we can go and pick a little bit from Kelvin, a little bit from Helen, a little bit from Paula. We can pick from a bunch of different people in this beautiful garden that we call this chamber. I think that's so awesome.
Well, there's another saying in the Bible. It says, "Iron sharpens iron."
Yes, indeed.
And what that means is, you want to find like people to work with, to associate with, because if you want to know where you're going, all you have to do is look at the 10 closest people around you, wherever they are. That's where you're going to go.
Nice.
And so one advantage of joining the chamber is you're joining a cadre, a network of entrepreneurs who are all either small or medium-sized or growing or whatever, but they all have the focus and the passion in whatever their individual business is. You know,
Right.
That's why when I met you, we were getting ready for this, and I asked, "What business are you in?"
Oh, yeah.
And then as you begin to explain it, and I begin to ask questions, we're already sharpening each other's tools, if you know what I mean,
Right.
just by that knowledge. And again, I can't say it enough. You're just not going to find that, I think, in other chambers, not quite the way that we have it in Tri-County.
Right, and because I believe the same thing, because I've been to other chambers and I was like, okay, well, am I supposed to join this? Okay, and I was like, okay, I'll try, and but this one I was like, oh, I got to figure this out. You know, I just have to do it. It would just make so much more sense.
Yes.
So, what advice would you give to someone that is thinking about starting a business?
Oh my goodness, I love that question. Here's the first thing. We are all already doing business transactions every day. You remember when you were in the third grade and you had that chocolate milk and the other kid had the cookie and you thought, hey, I want that cookie, and they're looking at that chocolate milk and you say, hey, I've got this nice cold pint of chocolate milk. If you'll trade that, you just did a business transaction. See, that milk is a commodity.
Okay.
That cookie is a baked good. And even in the third grade, you started negotiating. Now,
think about that.
Let's say you get older. Now you're in the 8th grade,
Mm-hmm.
and the teacher says, "Hey, your homework was due on Friday. What happened?" And you say, "Well, I'll tell you what. If you give me until Monday, I'll give you my homework and an extra quiz." Well, you're negotiating or you're doing interest-based bargaining. You've been doing it all your life. So, in other words, you're doing business transactions every day and don't even realize it. If you do work for an employer,
Mm-hmm.
you're trading your labor, right,
Right.
for some sort of payment or compensation. So when people say, I don't know if I should be in business, you're already there. So when you become an entrepreneur, all you're doing is stirring up the gifts. You're waking up something that's already inside of you. We all need to be in business, some sort of business, in my opinion,
Right.
large or small. Without it, we can't survive. Now, you see the statistics in the economy. You see unemployment statistics and all the other challenges that we have in the community. I mean, what's the solution? I mean, I want everybody to vote. Don't get me wrong. So it's not a political statement.
No.
Please vote. But the point is, I don't think any government is going to save us.
Right.
I don't.
Correct.
I think we're going to have to jump in the water and learn how to swim ourselves. Mm-hmm. So the point is, the first advice is you're already in business. You're already doing business transactions. You're already doing negotiations, good or bad. All you need to do is perfect that, standardize that, get that registered and certified, and then you can profit from it very easily. Then you can provide for your family, your friends, your future, whatever it is you decide to do. If you decide not to go into business, that's okay. Just remember, you're going to always support someone else's business. You're always going to make someone else wealthy. Just keep that in mind. You know?
That's the truth. So be intentional about your dollar. Make sure you know where your dollar. Look, you see me. Look, make sure you be intentional about your dollar.
Absolutely.
That's true.
My advice is obviously learn as much as you can about your passion once again, or what it is that you do. Let me just say this, Tabitha. What I do is, as a business, I sell what I know.
Okay.
I sell what I know. I sell what I know how to do. And with that, I have lower overhead. Now, there's still expenses that I have, but everybody has something in their head that they know how to do, or they know how to make. They should be selling it, you know,
Right.
And that's basically business. The second point is, for whatever you sell, whatever you do, whatever you know, somewhere out there's a customer ready to buy it, to purchase it, or to use your service. In fact, many people who are seeking services and goods go without finding it for many years because they can't find the right person to connect with, whatever. All that to me is business. In other words, if you're thinking about going into business, you're already there. You just need to go ahead and perfect and complete what you're already doing.
You really echoed something I used to say, I would say on the radio, which was if you got to go and think about what you currently do today and turn it into a business. Monetize what you currently do today.
Correct.
Because people who are making, knitting Afghans or knitting blankets or whatever like that, that could be a business. Seamstress found a good place during the pandemic because they were able to create these masks. You know, so it's all about what are you doing right now, today, in your life and thank you for that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then how can, so if you need help in turning it into a way to make money for you and your family, then come and take a look at, some, come and ask us questions at Tri-County Regional Black Chamber,
Absolutely.
because there is there is money to be made in what we're doing today. We don't have to steadily lean on an entity or a group of people who are not necessarily going to be giving it to you the way you feel like you need to have it.
Mm-hmm.
You can build your own rules and everything along those lines.
Mm-hmm. Well, when we started the conversation, you asked about my business, and when I said aviation, I said airport planning, airport engineering. I said I plan to build airports, and you said, "Wow, I never heard of that."
Right.
Well, guess what? There are a lot of people out there that have a business idea, a concept, something they know how to do, and they think it's not valuable. They're wrong.
They're wrong.
Anything that you perfect, that you know, that you can do, that you can create, or anything that you love, is a very good business.
It is very powerful. You know what? I'm glad that you said it, because I was like, okay, so I was saying that because that's what I believe, right? Because my mom's a seamstress, you know, and but that's her thing. That's her hobby. That's what she's done my entire life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but that wasn't her job. Her job was working for other people. But what she seemed to like the most was um, making the dresses and building the outfits for different people who would come, wedding dresses, bridesmaid dresses, things like that. So that's her passion. But because of I think her she did not feel as though turning it into a business was in her best interest as she was raising children. And so, and I think that's not one of those things. So she would do like one-off projects. But if she would have turned it into a business, she could probably have rivaled Men's Warehouse or something along that lines. But again, that maybe that wasn't for her, but it can be for someone else. So you can't just negate your skill set just because it's not the way somebody says it needs to be complete before you launch it into a business.
Well, if I could tell just one more quick story, I was talking to a gentleman, African American gentleman, that couldn't find a job. And so he came to me and said, "I need your help. I need your advice. I can't find a job." I said, "Well, where have you looked?" "I've looked everywhere. I applied here. I did this, I did that. Couldn't find a job." I think he'd been out of unemployment for months. And I said, "Well, have you considered hiring yourself?"
Oh my
He
gosh.
said, "What do you mean?" And I said, "Have you considered just starting a small business and becoming your own boss?" He says, "Oh, no, I don't want to do that." I said, "Why not?" "No, I don't want to go into business. That's too much work." I said, "If you're not willing to hire yourself, then why should anyone else hire you?" What, in other words, that employer that you applied for, all those numerous employers, uh, they didn't see anything in you because you don't see anything in yourself. Now, if you had taken your passion and started your own business, even if it's small, then when you go back to that job interview and they say, "What do you do? What do your resume say?" And you say, "Oh, well, I'm a small business doing X, Y, and Z," that's even more impressive. So the point is, if you won't hire yourself, then why should anyone else?
Okay, I was like, what does this happen? I never thought about it that way. So that's a really good point. But me and Howard had a conversation and realized that he said he was unemployable. I realized with his definition, I am also unemployable because after so many years of being with whatever company, it ends up being we end up having to go our separate ways. You to that corner, you to that corner, and be done. But it's you bring up the point where I have told other people if you're willing to spend 40 hours plus a week making sure that the head of that company is wealthy and in cars and shoes,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Why would you not be able to put forth the same type of effort into your own business? And that's the difference in mindset. So if you, as long as you are under, for me, my opinion only, is that as long as you are under the impression that the only value you have to add is to someone else's dream, then you will always remain an employee. But until you change the mindset that says that I am capable of making sure my own dreams are being met, and then I'm willing to put 40 plus more hours into my own dream, then and only then will the mindset switch, and then you can actually be a truly successful business owner. Because someone else asked me the question, and I was like, when I made that flip, when I realized that I was given 60 hours to a job, that when the cards fell down, was
Mhm.
not there for me,
Mhm.
I can give 60 hours to my own drain,
There you go.
and then we'll see what happens after that, which shakes out in the wash.
Mhm. Mhm.
So now I ask you this question, it's kind of off a little bit, is we talk about there's been times in which people will say there's no market for that. Because again, I didn't know aviation had a I knew aviation had a space. I just didn't understand this space looked kind of like what you do, like from the civil engineer standpoint. But what does the market, so people will say the market will tell you whether or not it's a good business decision or whether it's a good product. I personally don't believe that, but how do you feel about it?
I don't think it's the market that tells you about good business opportunities. I think it's the problem. So in other words, uh, if you know of a problem, if somebody has a problem, anyone that can solve that problem will be compensated well for it.
Okay.
The difference is the severity of the problem. Okay,
Okay.
so Zuckerberg solved some problems, big, huge problems. Bill
Mm-hmm.
Gates solved big, huge problems. Oprah Winfrey solved a problem. That's why they're successful. So, are there any problems in the world? There's like
There's tons of them.
so all you need to do is take whatever skill you have, take your passion, take what you know again, and then figure out where the problem is and solve that problem. Now, if you're trying to promote something and you don't know who has the problem, then you're not going to be successful. Okay,
Okay.
so here's another just a really quick example. So
I love these examples, by the way, just so we're clear. I love these examples.
You'd be amazed. I've met some people that are doing some amazing things that you didn't even realize was a problem. But let's say that you can run really fast.
Mm-hmm.
You're a very fast runner, and then you run up and down the field. Somebody times you, and everybody claps and all that kind of thing. Well, uh, you don't realize that there are a lot of people that can't run at all, or can't run well, or they can't increase their time. They have a problem.
Mm-hmm.
Now you've been gifted by God to have this gift, right?
Right.
Uh, all you have to do is find the people with the problem, and they will compensate you if you solve their problem. That's why a lot of athletes, when they retire from the sport, you'll see them coaching or
Yeah.
commentating or because they know that there's a lot of people that would love to play that sport but can't do it, or people who enjoy to watch it but don't understand it, and they go in and they capitalize. So here's my point: uh, find a problem, solve it. You'll be very successful no matter what it is, but you have to know who has the problem.
Okay, so I'm glad. That's powerful. That's powerful to me because I think that when I have asked a question before to other people, not here on a podcast, but um, it has been yes, the market will tell you. No, it doesn't because the market doesn't recognize what it's missing until you show up. Everybody just, sometimes we walk with a limp
Mm-hmm.
until we figure out that we don't have to walk with that limp.
Right.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Because somebody says if you take your shoe off, you won't take the rock out, then you don't have to walk with that limp.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a cobbler that says, hey, your shoe is wrong for you, or that rock is not as ill placed.
Mm-hmm.
So by sitting there letting people tell you that there's no market for it is actually a way to keep you from knowing how to solve the problem that you recognize is there.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so I'm glad we've had this conversation because that's part of what somebody has said to me. I've been told multiple times that my what I do, it's not a real problem to be solved. And I was like, I'm confused. Do you not see the news? Because I see the news and I see that there's a problem, but they personally didn't have it. I had an older gentleman yelling at me because he was like, you're just increasing my taxes. First of all, if I'm increasing the taxes with what I charge, there is a bigger problem.
Mm-hmm.
But it wasn't me. And he's like, I would like to see the stories that would suggest that this is really a problem. Because it's not your issue doesn't mean that it's not someone else's issue.
Mm-hmm.
And so they don't have the right to tell you what you know to be true. And so there is no validation in what he said, by the way, because I got straight from the DOE that my problem is a super huge problem, but not one that they're willing to solve. So that's how that ends up. So just be careful who we listen to when they
There you
say,
go.
when you say, oh, that's not real.
Well, let me say something about another plug for the chamber, if I will.
Chamber.
But,
This is all chamber.
once once you join the chamber, or once you become a member and you get on the website and you get access to all the procurement and the business opportunities, where the chamber will list all those government entities and other entities that are offering contracts.
Right.
That's a list of people's problems.
Yes.
That's what that is. So if you go look at Harris County and look at what their solicitations, they're basically telling you, this is the problem we have, and we're looking for people that can solve our problem.
Right.
And once you do, you're hopefully successful, and guess what? You're in business.
Yep. And that's all we did.
Yes.
Just solve the problem. You solve a bigger problem. I'm telling you what. Now every time I come down off the plane, I'll know exactly. I'll be like,
yep.
Kelvin Solco.
I solved the problem.
Here we go. Okay, so what was your biggest lesson that you've learned by starting your own business?
Well, there is a huge need for networking. One of the things that's one of the things I learned is how important networking is. Again, that's another reason for being in the chamber. But I actually, believe it or not, I consider myself an introvert.
I am an introvert as well. Do not worry.
But I'm an introvert extrovert, or whatever it is. So in other words, I could turn it on and off, or whatever. And so I actually started the business thinking that, hey, I'll just use my initial contacts, if you will, and there I am in business. And then I realized quickly I've got to expand that. So I've been building and increasing the network to increase my opportunities. And for example, even this podcast, thank you very much, but this is a networking opportunity for me. So the point is, how important is networking? I mean, that's kind of one of the big revelations for me as far as being in the business. There's some other things that some other lessons learned. And I'll mention this because it's important, but accounting on the back end of the business is critically important.
Accounting,
bookkeeping.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna need you to say that for the people in the back, because I don't think they hear you. Because I tell you, as much as we try to tell people, I have said it, a spreadsheet is not going to cut it, people. I love us to death. And I love the people who say, just shortcut it. Just do it by spreadsheet. Understand, eventually at some given point in time, you're going to have to roll that over into an accounting software.
Yes.
And it's better to do your foundation now than it is to pay like 3 times the amount of money to get it fixed.
Well, my wife is the business manager in accounting on the back end. She has a software solution. I won't say it because I won't plug it because they're not paying me. But so what's critically important is the accounting, the record retention, because for audit purposes, it helps the company credibility. Even some of the clients that I have in the fine print of the contract, they mention the fact that they could audit this arrangement, this contract at any time. So bookkeeping, accounting. Which is not my strong point, but the point is it's vitally important on the back end, and that's another big, huge lesson learned for me.
Yes. Okay. So those are 2 valuable ones for sure, because that the bookkeeping will get you in trouble in a heartbeat. So
it'll keep you out of jail.
Yeah, I know. So try not. We got to get that. So that's a really good one for sure. I was like, okay, now I'm good with that. So what has been the most impactful thing that you've learned since you've done this on your business journey?
Oh, no, this is a huge one. This is a huge question for me. But one of the things I learned is in business, there is no clock. Let me tell you what that means.
I need a timeline.
When you have a job, you're thinking 9 to 5 or 8 to whatever it is, and full-time, part-time, you think in terms of, I'm going to start work at a certain time, I'm going to turn it off at a certain time.
Right.
When you're in business, the clock is 24/7, 365.
Okay.
And what that means is it is important to take breaks, to take vacations, especially when we get past this pandemic. But the point is, I'm always working, either in my mind or in my heart, if that makes sense.
Yes.
I'm taking every opportunity that I can to promote the business, and still not negating all the responsibilities that you have with family and church and all that stuff. But the point is, the big revelation here for me is there's no clock. And so what that means is, I may get up early, something will hit me, it's a business opportunity, and I may have to grab a laptop and then just get it down before I forget, or after dinner, 8 or 9 o'clock at night, and I realize I can get ahead the next day if I solve this problem for a client tonight, so let me just send 3 emails real quick before I go to bed, and then the next day will be an easier day. There is no clock.
Right.
So remember, time is money.
Yes,
Okay?
absolutely.
So you need to make sure you're willing to invest the time in the business, and don't look for an easy way out. Don't look for a cushy business where you work 3 hours a day and you got the rest of the time off. That's, in my opinion, that's not a good business.
Actually, I think that's after you make your money. So that becomes more of a what is it? It's more of a so you're looking for your money to work even when you're not working, but that's after you've done the hard work to get in a position so that when you walk away, you can be sitting on the beach for 3 hours. You can do 3 hours of emails and then sit on the beach for 4, and your money's still working, your money's still coming in. But that is not at the beginning of a business.
Well, and I'll take it a step farther. Tabitha, I was talking to one of my business associates. We were talking about this. We had like a goal that we wanted to hit, like a number. And then I asked him. I said, "Well, what are we going to do after we hit this number?" And he said something really interesting and stuck with me. He said, "We're going to work very hard to hit this number, this goal in our mind. When we get there, then we're going to flip it and work hard to help somebody else hit that goal." In other words,
I like that.
In other words, we don't stop.
Right.
Once I get what I need, then I'm going to come and help you get what you need.
Right.
And then that's how you build a community of entrepreneurs. Otherwise, we all fail.
I like that. That is true collective growth for sure. I like that, and so that comes back to the networking portion of it, because without unless you have a community in which you can lean on, you don't even know who you're supposed to help next.
Exactly.
And then all those people around you are helping you, and then you help them to move forward. So there's two things I'll say. One is I have this friend. Oh my gosh, she's a wonderful person, but she is nuts. But she is taking networking to a new level, awesome. Right? Awesome. And especially during a pandemic. And so in a short period of time, she's met well over 600 people. And inside the 600 people, she's going to be able to narrow down a close-knit network from that.
Yes.
And she's a very good example of utilizing her time during this time of sheltering in place, in order to get the people in her circle, in her immediate circle, that are going to be able to support her in the business as once we all finally come out of this to a point where we can start going to work for what we were doing, prior. Right? It won't be the same, but it will be. Now it's time to go back to work because we can safely do so.
Right.
But if it wasn't for the fact she was able to do that, all that networking, she would not have been able to play the numbers in a way that supports her. I think about it, if she'd have done this, the normal way, and not met them so much in such a condensed period of time, then it wouldn't have been a waste of time, but it would have been a lot of time utilized elsewhere, where she would have been able to put her time somewhere else, right? And so I think that is really important to know. But then we have the network, what she's been able to do, and then a chamber. So when you have people like that, they have a database that you can lean on, because they may not be a very good referral for her or a very good partner for her, but that doesn't mean that she hasn't found a very good partner for you. So as you were saying, that once you reach your goals and you've achieved what you have set out to do for your business decision, then you identify another entrepreneur in the room and say, what do you need? How can we get you to your goal?
Correct.
And then it becomes a pay it forward type of an environment, a community, and it's just doing nothing but making sure that we become all successful, and we can all plant our individual flags in our expertise, but we can actually plant a larger flag of a communal success. Absolutely. For everyone.
Absolutely. Well, another thing, everything is an opportunity. You just have to find the problem. The pandemic, shelter at home, is an opportunity.
Yes.
But when this is over, there's going to be huge opportunities. It's actually called reconstitution. But we talk about getting back to normal. There's going to be challenges and problems to just get back to normal. And there's going to be huge business opportunities for people that are planning it now. So you can help people get back to normal with your business, with your service, with what you know. But again, you've got to have that network built.
This is true.
So that you're ready to strike when the opportunity comes.
For sure. So the other thing I would like to bring out is the fact that customer service is extremely important. And so there are a lot of time, a lot of the pandemic has actually uncovered a lot of people who are not willing to, they're not customer service friendly.
Mm-hmm.
And so understanding that and being mindful of that actually would help to move your business, move the needle of your business further along, which will leave other people behind because the customer service is not together.
Mm-hmm.
And take your customer service is beautiful.
Well, I'll tell you, my take on that is, I guess I have a take on everything, right?
Yeah, but we have to though. We have to. It can't just be nothing. It can't be flat all the time.
But there's no substitute for the positive customer experience. You've heard that saying, treat people like you want to be treated.
Right.
Well, give the customer experience that you would want as a customer yourself.
Right.
Okay, let's go back to restaurants. You go to a restaurant, you want to be seated promptly, you want to be served, you want the food warm, and so that same experience that you would want for a restaurant, you should be willing to give in whatever your business is. Be prompt, be on time, be true to your word, and then of course, humble yourself just a little bit to provide the service that you need to the client or the customer, whatever, so that they'll call you back again and again and again, and you have a successful business.
So before we wrap this up, what do you mean by what do you mean? Give me an example of humble yourself just a little bit in order for them to.
Well, I think of it as keeping your emotions in check. In business, there are a lot of things that are going to frustrate us or upset us, and things are not going to happen as we expect.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to be the master of your emotions in business. It's what they call the poker face or something. I don't play poker, but the point is, the customer is always right. If you've heard that saying before,
yes.
And I know that they debate that, and it means a lot of things to a lot of people. But what that means is, if you're gonna buy my service, okay, if you're gonna use what I offer, and you tell me what you need, even if it's a little different than what I offer, it's my obligation, since you're my customer, to try to give you the best possible experience, the best service that I can. If it's not exactly in my lane or my wheelhouse, maybe I partner with another entrepreneur in the chamber
there you
to
go.
provide that service. But the point is, I can't get frustrated. I can't get irritated. I can't say, I'm never going to do business again. I'm never going to call this person back, because once you ruin your reputation, once you put that out there, it's detrimental to your business. So what I mean by humbling yourself is relax.
Okay.
Chill. I have a saying, save your blood pressure. Calm down. Save it until you really need it.
Right.
See, when the building's on fire and you need to run out, now you need to raise blood pressure so we can get out of here. But until then, save your blood pressure until you really need it. It'll help you with your prescriptions also. But save your blood pressure, especially in business. Be cool, calm, and provide the best possible service that you can. That's what I mean by humbling yourself.
I like that. And I'm glad that I asked the question, because everybody's definitions of things are different.
Mm-hmm.
They use their terminology in different aspects. And so when people are like, I think sometimes it's potentially that if you say humble myself, I'm like, well, what does that mean? I have to reduce myself to less than and stuff like that. No, it's not that.
Mm-hmm.
It's just you have to be able to understand that managing your feelings in the moment is more important than being the right finder.
Yes. You want to win the war, not the battle.
Right.
And so every battle is going to be frustrating, whatever. But I've always been very strategic in everything that I've done. I'll put up with this for now if it's going to get me over there. You know what I'm saying? And that doesn't mean I'm lowering myself or belittling myself. It doesn't mean I'm lowering my self-esteem. It just means that I'm very strategic, I'm very patient, and I'm willing to put in the work, the sweat, even the tears if necessary.
I've got lots of tears.
If it's going to get me to a point where I'm on the beach doing what you talked about earlier.
I know, chilling on the beach. That's what we're gonna do. I like it. I think it's really important to know that for sure. So yeah, sometimes we keep our feelings in check, but understand that we just have to. I had somebody tell me, you're really good about managing keeping your feelings in a right place. But my blood pressure, I do hit my blood pressure every once in a while. Good thing I'm on the lower end of things, but because people will say things this destructive,
Mm-hmm.
but they're destructive to the individual, not destructive to just to the situation, and that's where part of the rub comes in that.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, so if you ever want to give a blood pressure raise, that's where it'll happen. But I normally try to keep everything in a level place,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't know why. I just started doing that, and I was like, no, I think I just need to just take a take a beat, take a beat, take a beat, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I try really hard not to reduce myself just to make someone else look bigger or make them feel bigger.
Absolutely. Well, especially in business, remember we're primarily here to serve.
Mm-hmm.
That's primarily what we're doing. And so, if you're a good servant, again, you'll be compensated for that. Now that's one of those things that it's an internal battle.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have that internal debate with yourself. You have to decide if that's what you want to do.
Right.
In other words, the struggle is not whether or not I should be in business. The struggle inside of me is, am I really willing to serve?
Right.
That's the question. If I can answer that question, then I'll be a successful business person.
This has been awesome. I'm glad that we sat down and had this conversation.
My
Right.
pleasure.
This has been awesome. So we've learned a lot from you, and we actually know what's coming up over in Orange County as far as getting out there and getting a few people, whether they're landscapers or people who are just doing jack of all trades over in that area, the opportunity for them to possibly join the chamber and become an entrepreneur of their own, you know, and setting up their own destiny.
Hey, Orange County, let's have lunch.
Orange County, let's go. So this has been really good. I'm glad that we had the conversation. So for those who may want to get in contact with you and work with you, let everybody know how to find you.
Yeah, what I prefer is the email address,
Okay.
and I'll put that out there. It's KSOLCO@yahoo.com. That's it. That's probably the best way to get in touch with me. But drop me an email, especially if you're in Orange County, and let me know about your business and what you're doing, what you're interested in, and let's see if I can come in and serve and help. That's it.
I like that. That's pretty cool. This has been a really good experience. So, as an advisory board, you know, congratulations. And look, I'm excited to see what happens, what rolls out of that. And as normal, you know, we're going to go ahead and thank our sponsors. So, Southwest Airlines is a proud air travel sponsor of Tri-County Regional Black Chamber of Commerce. We'd also like to thank Permacore Business Solutions and thank Kelvin Solco for coming and spending an hour with us talking a little bit about, you know, the chamber and what you're doing and just how to become a successful business owner.
Well, thank you for the opportunity again, and just be blessed, stay healthy, and let's grow our businesses together.
Awesome. So for all of those who are listening, remember that we are here at gmtradio.com, and if you are interested in radio, television, or a podcast, please go ahead over to gmtradio.com and take a look at what is offered over here. It's a great place to come and hang out and get. And here's part of your marketing, right?
Mm-hmm,
So
absolutely.
And it's a really beautiful place to be. And there's so many different options. So I always just encourage you, if you want to go ahead and break into that type of industry, or you want to do some type of advertisement, go ahead and contact gmtradio.com. So thank you again. Make sure to tune in every Friday at 10:30 a.m. for Tri-County Regional Black Chamber of Commerce Let's Talk Business podcast. Everybody have a great and glorious weekend.